he's going to be thinking about this as well. He was looking forward to that fireball. He was trying to escape, but that roundhouse chase down after the drive rush, sneaking in the drive impact.
Drive Rush is the strongest offensive tool and your free skip neutral tool in Street Fighter 6, and boy do I have a lot to talk about with this mechanic. But before we get going, remember to throw me a like, and if you like the content, consider subscribing, it helps me out a lot. With that being said, let's continue on to the video. Now, if you thought Perfect Parry was brain dead, as some of you were saying in the comments of my last video, congratulations, you exposed yourself. Thank you for telling everyone in the comments that you're bad at mixing up your offense. But honestly, it doesn't really matter how bad you are at offense, because slap that drive rush button and call your offensive pressure godlike, because it is. The mechanic does all the heavy lifting for you. Drive rush is another one of those tools in the game that can be used in a brain dead way, but it's also a really good tool that can help against things like zoning, whiff punishing, and generally making offense extremely rewarding. JP trying to zone you out? Drive rush into a button. Losing the poke war? Drive rush. Don't have throw loops in the corner like other characters? Drive rush. The mechanic itself is actually really cool, and it fixes a lot of problems that were present in previous Street Fighters and fixes them. But the mechanic isn't flawless, it does have its issues. And one of the first ones that I'm going to bring up is that there's little to no risk to just throwing it out. I mean, at least making the right read and throwing someone who's parrying at least rewards you with 20% damage and removing a bar of drive meter from your opponent. But with Drive Rush? No, there's nothing like that with Drive Rush. And I know the Drive Rush is coming, so let me interrupt it. And what's my reward for that? Oh, I'll tell you what it is. Try to defend against the next one, dickhead. But this video is in the list of complaints about the mechanic because, like I said, it fixes quite a few issues from previous Street Fighters. One of them being zoner characters who were made to be the best at doing that have to actually worry about you being able to close the gap with Drive Rush. Or your character being outclassed by the buttons of another character not mattering because you can Drive Rush and start your pressure. Those things are great, and I'm glad that Street Fighter 6 has the flexibility to allow the player to do that. But what's not great is the reward you get for stopping such a rewarding offensive pressure mechanic like Drive Rush. So I've come up with a few ideas on what they could do to the mechanic for Season 2, and what those changes would do to the way the mechanic is currently being used. One of the first things that comes to mind is to make Drive Rush put you in a punish counter state. Doing that would make the defender actually be rewarded for interrupting Drive Rush and also add some form of risk to just throwing it out. The second thing I would do that's going to piggyback off the first change is to remove half a bar or a full bar of drive meter for successfully interrupting Drive Rush. And honestly, with either one or two of those things being added, I think that's pretty much all they need to do, really. I think the game right now has a really solid foundation that just needs a little bit of tweaking before it becomes really great. I mean, as far as I know, there hasn't really been a Street Fighter that released and was really good for Season 1. I mean, Street Fighter 4, I wasn't really there for that, but I hear Vanilla Sagat was a terror, and, well, I mean, I was there for Street Fighter 5, and I know that Chun and Cammy were quite a big issue. And obviously, I could mention Nash and, you know, everything that happened with 5, but I would go on for like an hour, so let's not get into that. But what I can get into is what some of you might think in the comments down below. What do you think about Drive Rush? Do you think it's currently good as is? Do you agree with my suggestions? I don't know, maybe you don't like the mechanic at all. Well, whatever the case may be, I'd love to read your thoughts and hopes for what they do for Season 2. With that being said, I'll see you boys in the next one.